Okay, welcome back. We're going to do item number 19, which was the last held over item from this morning's agenda before we start the 1 p.m. agenda. So item 19, 21 24th Street. We have registered speakers, Steve Hammond, the owner, as well as the neighbor at 19 right next door, another neighbor or someone at 34 36th Street, as well as the neighbor at 23 on the other side who is in support.
Mr. Chairman, just point of clarification, the neighbor at 34 36th Street will not be joining us today, but everyone else is.
Okay. So this is an application to construct a two-story rear addition and a second-story addition above the existing dwelling. There are 4 variances. We have a cover letter, supporting material. We have the Long Branch character guidelines and a planning report for information, in which they advise us that the basement is included in the FSI because it's closer to grade, as well as we have the neighbors at 23 and 25 in support. Mr. Hammond?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. My apologies for running behind and sacrificing your application to after the lunch break, but we had to switch to YouTube anyway. So we have your application. We see the positive planning report. And thank you for all your supporting materials. You can give us a short presentation, or perhaps we can listen to the neighbors and hear what their concerns are, and then you'll have a chance to respond. I guess the biggest issue here is the fact that you have a very high FSI because the basement is included, and otherwise they pointed out it would be, I believe, about around 0.67.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, so would you like to just tell us anything before we move on to the, I believe, I guess there's one neighbor speaking in support. We'll hear from him, and then we'll first hear from the neighbor next door who's wishes to speak and is in opposition, assuming that she's in opposition.
Sure, yeah, like I said, my name's Steve Hammond. My wife and I have lived or owned the home since 2003. Love the neighborhood and have watched it transform over the years into what it is today. We find ourselves with elderly parents who live in Sault Ste. Marie, which is 8 hours away. They're almost 70 years old. So that's one of the reasons, as well as our growing family, to do the renovations to get more space. Unfortunately, my wife's mom has dementia, so we'd like to have them down for a little bit longer extended periods of time because of the drive to help them with that. We really looked at the Long Branch guidelines and feel the design and the material being used is in line with that. We've spoken with our neighbors and been completely transparent throughout this whole process. I know there are a few variances, one being the side yard setback. That's basically due to the current foundation. We're not touching that at all. We're just building upon on top of that. You spoke about the floor space index and the exterior made wall. We're only asking for a slight variance in that of 0.47 meters higher than the bylaw requires. And then the last one is the eaves being 0, and that's just because of the existing foundation. We looked at a whole bunch of different options to get bigger space in our current bungalow, and we've basically come to the conclusion we love the neighborhood. We're active in the neighborhood. We support our local community, especially in times like this, and we wanted to stay where we are in our forever home there. We're not looking to, build and sell. This is our forever home. So with that, thank you for your time, and I'll answer anything that the neighbors have for that.
Okay, so just want to clarify, variance 2, which is the required side yard setback of 0.9, you're at 0.22 from the south side lot line, but you're saying that's where the dwelling is now. You're just building on top of it and extending it further in line.
That is correct.
Okay, so that's an existing condition that's going to be extended along with your rear addition and is extended up on your second story addition.
That is correct.
Okay. Okay, so any questions for Mr. Hammond before we move over to the neighbor at 19? Okay. Jane Dara?
Hello, my name is Jane Dara. I'm the owner of 1924 Street,
Yep.
which is on the south side of the subject property.
Right.
And I've been in discussions with Mr. Hammond about the application, and I appreciate his transparency and his willingness to change certainly the eaves variance. So I just wanted to say that I think that the proposal fits in well with the street and meets the intent of the Long Branch design guidelines. I am concerned. I am concerned about the reduced side yard setback, but I recognize it's an existing condition. And I will note that there is no overlook condition proposed by the extension, which is a good thing.
Right. Okay.
So that's really all I have to
Right.
say.
So yeah, so you're really, you know, if they were taking the house down and building a new house, then there'd be an argument. Well, they should, you know, do something with the side yards, but that's the existing side yard. So that's why I wanted to bring attention to that, and I guess you've recognized that.
Yes.
In a perfect world, he's using the existing. Are you also too close to the side yard, or does your property provide the side yard setback to his dwelling, or for that matter, on the other side? Because I guess in some cases we take these properties the way you find them, and unless they were going to demolish, they're stuck with that side yard.
Well, so my side yard setback on that side is only about 2 feet, or so it's a reduced side yard setback as well.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Does anyone have any questions? You'd like to add anything to that, Ms. Dara?
No.
Okay. Thank you very much. Let's see if committee members have any questions for you. If not, we'll. I guess we have another speaker. The neighbor, your neighbor at 23, Eddie Sword. Mr. Sword?
Hi there. Can you hear me all right?
Yes. Clear
Perfect.
as a bell.
Pardon me?
I said you're coming in clear as a bell, and we do have your support letter as well as the one from your neighbor at 25.
Perfect. Yeah, so I just wanted to attend just to kind of reaffirm what I put into that support letter. Steve Hammond's been really great with consulting with us as far as both the design elements of the house and also just, you know, how we would manage construction and, you know, deal with the regular disruption of a project of that size. So I just wanted to reaffirm that support, and that's pretty much it.
Okay, that's very neighborly of you to stay online and support your neighbor in that way. Usually, as I say in my opening, usually we only hear from people opposed. Okay, so
well, fortunately, I had a second laptop which I could leave open, so glad to be here.
Okay, so I guess we'll go back to Mr. Hammond. I don't know if you really need to respond, because at the end of the day, Jane Dara is, you know, concedes that although it's closer than she would like, she's also closer, and that's an existing condition. So unless you'd like to add anything, I'll see if committee members have any questions or if we're ready for a motion.
No, I just thank the neighbors, and I'll continue to look at them through this whole project.
Very good. Always the best. Committee members, any follow-up questions? Are we ready for a motion? And I don't think there's any conditions.
Oh, no, I don't see any.
No.
Okay, I guess on the surface, this is a discussion we're having at lunch. On the surface, I don't find this application to be minor with the one-times coverage, but with the mitigating circumstances of the basement situation, I believe it is minor. And given that we have no one in opposition, just people in support, I believe it does meet the 4 tests overall, and therefore I would like to move approval.
Okay. Before we vote on that, I just have a question for staff. Is there any way that we can indicate on our decision that although we're granting approval at one-times coverage, you know, the verbiage that because the basement's included and otherwise it's 0.67, again, like other applications we've had this morning where the length counts for length and depth because there's an excavated area under the back porch. If these things aren't included in decisions, then people, as we see, come and show them as a precedent. Say, oh, look, look at the length they got. Look at the coverage they got. Is there
I
some way to
think
make
what-
some notation?
I think what we did about 4 weeks ago, or a few weeks ago, is that we added wording to the floor space index, which said including the basement area. We can do that.
Sure.
Yeah, I think that's always a good idea because as we see, people come here and they start telling us about what's happening.
Yeah,
on the
I think
street.
that would be good, because if this was an application for one times coverage above grade, I would not be making this motion.
And the applicant, you've confirmed that, so that will hopefully still allow you to get a building permit if what you've said is correct. Steve?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it's in the planning memo as well, pointing that out. So it's not just Mr. Hammond telling us that. Okay, so that was my comment. We need a seconder for that motion. Mr. Taylor, well, Laura, okay, and all in favor? Unanimous approval. Thank you.
So that,
Best of
Thanks,
luck with
committee.
your house.
it's not as amended, but variance 1 will be amended to, with wording to indicate that the basement is included.
Okay. Okay, well, now moving on to the afternoon session, starting with item number 20. I guess I have to do my opening remarks. So good afternoon, and apologies for the late start. We're supposed to be starting at 1, but we're delayed. But hopefully we'll make up some time. Good afternoon. During the declared emergency in the City of Toronto, Committee of Adjustment virtual public hearings are being conducted by electronic means through WebEx, an online digital platform, and streamed on the Toronto City Planning YouTube channel. These measures are necessary to comply with physical distancing requirements and a provincial order that limits attendance at public gatherings. This will be a virtual public hearing, and participants who have registered in advance will be able to make their presentations to the committee using WebEx, an online event that is being moderated by city staff. Anyone wishing to view the hearing may do so by watching on YouTube. Participants who have registered in advance will be connecting either by their computer, a phone or tablet app, or by telephone. All participants will automatically be muted on entry, and when your item is called, each participant will be unmuted by the moderator, one person at a time. Any registered participants will be participating only by audio. Committee members, we have one committee member participating by video, Laura Alderson, as well as on my left in person, Don Taylor, and on my right, Stan Kamerick, and I am Michael Clark. Land acknowledgement. We acknowledge that the land we are meeting on is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. We also acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13 with the Mississaugas of the Credit. In accordance with Sections 45 and 53 of the Planning Act 1990 as amended, this meeting of the Committee of Adjustment for the City of Toronto is called to order. The Committee of Adjustment considers applications for variances from the provisions of the zoning bylaw that apply to the property, permissions to extend or alter lawful non-conforming uses, and consents to sever properties to create new lots. Anyone who wishes to receive a copy of a decision of the committee on an application must submit a written request for a decision by email. Please ensure that you include your name, your address, and your email address, because Committee of Adjustment and the TLAB will be sending notifications and appeal updates by email in the event of an appeal. If you don't agree with the decision of the committee, decisions may be appealed to the Toronto Local Appeal Body, TLAB, or in some limited circumstances to the Local Planning Appeal Tribunal, LPAT. Appeal instructions are set out in the bottom of the decision of the committee. The hearing procedure is as follows. We'll call each item in the order listed in the agenda, starting at item number 20. Where an application is uncontested, the applicant or agent will only have to proceed with a presentation if required. The committee may ask questions and or take the matter into the committee for a decision. Each speaker, including the applicant or agent, is given a maximum of 5 minutes to address the committee, and Mr. Kromarek, who's watching the clock, or I will notify you when you're reaching the 5-minute mark and ask you to wrap up. When addressing the committee, please start off by clearly stating your name and address for the record, and please remember to confine your remarks to the matters outlined in the application. In a contested application, the applicant or the agent goes first, makes a brief presentation to the committee of the application. Please note the committee may not entertain revisions to the proposals at the hearing today. The committee may decide to defer the application if being substantially revised to ensure that the revised application is both accurate and that all those entitled to notice of the application are informed of the changes. Then individuals either in support or opposed to the application will be invited to speak. Committee members may ask questions of each speaker after they finish their presentation, and when all speakers are finished, the applicant or agent is given further opportunity to rebut those issues and answer those questions that were raised by the speakers. That will then mark the end of the discussion, and the application is taken into committee for a decision. Does any of the staff or panel members have any declarations of interest to declare on the items for this afternoon's agenda? No? Okay. And we'll deal with deferral requests, if any, as we proceed through the agenda, Madam Secretary Treasurer. That's fine. We'll deal with the deferral requests as we proceed, if any. So in that case, the first application we're going to hear is item number 20 Kings Street Crescent. And this is an application for a new carport along the north side of the property. There are 3 variances. Planning is okay with the changes. There's a condition from Ravine and Natural Features Protection. And neighbors at 4, 9, and 14 have no objection. I see we have actually 5 support letters. And registered to speak is Nafisa Zangibadi, the agent.
Yes.
That's the only speaker we have registered for this item. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
So we have 5 support letters, and we have a ravine condition, and planning is okay with the application. Is there anything else you'd like to tell us?
No, not really. We actually already got the permits from the PRCA, and they're okay with the proposal. We got their letter of support, and we had a condition from planning, which we're okay with that. From PRCA, which we're okay with that. So, and our neighbors are in support.
Yes.
So I believe there's not much else.
Yes, okay, so for this carport, committee members, any questions for the agent, or is someone ready to bring a motion? I don't see any, no.
I believe the application to be minor and definitely meeting the 4 tests, and I would therefore like to move approval without conditions.
Thank you, Mr. Kamarick. Seconder for that motion. Ms. Alderson, all in favor? Unanimous approval. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Item number 21 is 96 George Street. This is an application to legalize and maintain a 1-story rear addition. A previous committee of adjustment application approved with conditions variances relating to parking located at the rear, in the front yard and front yard landscaping. And there's 1 variance, the roof eave encroachment. We have 98 in support. We have the previous committee of adjustment, which were approved, those variances was in June 2019. And there is an order to comply dated August the 24th, 2020. And Councillor Grimes has no objection. The speaker on this application is Jorge da Cunha.
Yes, it's me. Yeah, I'm here, Jorge da Cunha. Yeah,
Hello,
just
sir.
representing the. Good afternoon, all members. I just representing the homeowner, Mr. Johannes and Mrs. Johannes. They live in this place for this house since 2010. Application just regarding to us beauty addition at here of the existing story, 1-story dwelling. The main reason we came to the apply for the committee is that unfortunately, because of this, the site had the setback on the north side, we cannot comply. So, but the reason don't comply is that we decided when we started the construction, in order to get some little bit more room inside of the house and make exterior wall, avoid the uneven wall, we just follow the existing wall on the north.
Yes. But I'm saying you came to committee, or your client came. Actually, you came. You were the agent to committee in June 2019, and you got permission to construct a 1-story rear addition. and you had two
Right.
variances. So now it turns out you have just an eaves issue. So you're explaining how that happened when they were going to
Well,
build?
well, in terms of construction, I think we have a little bit, the wall, the new wall was a little bit, in terms of lining up the wall, the existing wall, the new wall is just a few inches from the north side. So that's why our eaves don't encroach exactly, but it's closer to the property line.
Yes. Anyway, you have a letter from the neighbors that they're okay with that. So this is an additional variance.
The neighbor at 98 is the neighbor that is supporting us. She's the
Yes.
neighbor where on the north side. She's on the south side, I mean. So on the property line, she's the north side on the property line. We are on the south side of the property line.
I see.
And the neighbor, she's supporting our proposal.
Right.
There is no objection for that.
So that's that's the side that that you need the additional variance on.
Yes, correct.
Okay. Let's see if committee members have any further questions or if someone's ready for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I find the requested variance satisfies the 4 conditions under the Planning Act, and I move for approval
Thank you,
without
Mr. Taylor.
conditions.
Okay.
I'll second.
All in favor? Unanimous approval. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Okay, our next application is item number 22, 2 Buttonwood Avenue. This is an application for a new seniors residence. This was before the committee, March 2013. We have a covering letter. We have planning advising there's no issues with the site plan. And we have Councillor Nunziata in support. Registered speaker on this is Berardo Mascioli, agent. Berardo?
Mr. Chair, we see Mr. Mascioli on the WebEx application, but we weren't successful in actually hearing him during sound check. Maybe we can contact him separately.
Should we stand it down to the?
Can we stand it down till the end? Because he did email earlier in the morning asking that he may not be available right away because he had something else going on the same time at another municipality, which isn't the best idea, but.
Okay. Okay, so let's just hold on to that one for a bit. Item number 23 is 100 Lake Crescent.
Hello, yes, I'm Chris Marchese, and I'm the authorized agent on behalf of
Okay, Chris, if you wouldn't mind hanging on for a second. This is to construct a new detached dwelling with an attached garage. There are 7 variances. We have 2 proposed planning conditions of approval. They want the platform reduced to 10 meters. It was oversized, you're allowed 4. So there are 7 variances, and we have your applicant submission and planning comments, and we have urban forestry is requesting refusal of the application. You're the only registered speaker on this.
Yes, I am. Perfect. Would you like me to go forward with a little presentation?
Is this a Long Branch area? Is this in Long Branch? No. Why don't you give us just a brief presentation?
The most important thing, I think, is 2 things. Number 1, the urban forestry condition of refusal or recommendation of refusal, as well as one of the conditions put forward by planning staff. The recommendation of refusal was for a tree that was located in the front of the property. Due to the small frontage on the property, The tree is situated dead center of the front yard, which means any development that takes place would need to remove that tree. The letter was submitted on November 16th, which means that the deadline for us to submit documents for this application was November 17th. We engaged an arborist immediately, and although it may not be within your committee package, it is on the record. An arborist report has been submitted to state that that tree is in poor condition and should be removed due to the condition of it. The arborist report, like I said, is on your record, and the client has no objection with replanting a tree. So instead of refusal, I would recommend, if approved by the committee here in front of you today, to add the condition of urban forestry to get a permit to injure or destroy a municipally owned tree.
Right. So yeah, we approve it. You move down to the next stage where you have to apply to injure the tree. And I believe, is that a situation, Madam Chair, where it has to be approved by City Council? Is that the situation, or?
If urban forestry refuses the request, then yes.
Yes, okay. So anyway, it's all set out in their memo as to what the process is. So you're already ahead of the game, and you've already engaged and had a arborist report, and you can negotiate, deal with urban forestry on that basis.
Correct. Like we already, through you, Sir Chair, we already have the permit ready. We'll submit it upon, if this application is approved, immediately right after.
And what about the two planning conditions?
Perfect. So number one, I have no issue with, because we had extensive conversations with planning staff. We made revisions. And the thing that I want to arise is that this balcony was never mentioned by planning staff at any point through our conversations. And I mean that we talked about this application from every variance that was involved pretty much. They never once mentioned an issue on this platform. With that being said, if you can pull up the markup that I sent you guys to the committee, the mudroom is being defined as the first floor.
Let's see if Paul can pull that up on the screen.
Sorry about that, Chair.
So the variance for the area of the platform, as you know, you're allowed 4 square meters, and you came in at like 13 something, I think.
Yeah, 13. And I will state on the record. Yeah. And I will state on the record just from talking to other planners and through my experience with dealing with these applications, they are of the opinion that they want it at 10 meters. I fully understand that. But the issue that I have with this one being reduced to 10 meters is that they're labeling this as a 3-story dwelling because of where the mudroom is. And I've located as defined first-story floor where it is on the plan and where the second story is being defined. This walkout is actually, it's defined as a second story, but it is actually a walkout out of the kitchen. So in my opinion, it's more of a deck and not a platform. And we're meeting all the requirements of a deck, like the how far off the wall it can be, the size of it. So it's more of a technical variance. And where I highlighted the red, that's where the variance, that floor, if it was up at the second floor there, I would have no issue with the condition. But due to the fact that it's a walkout from the kitchen and it's an existing condition that is in other dwellings on Lake Crescent, so I hope that the committee will not impose this condition.
Yeah, so why I agree. So it's looking like a deck. It's off a kitchen, like so. Or sometimes I ask, because when it's 4 meters, it's because it meant just a little balcony off a bedroom as opposed to a general area for people to congregate. But that's clearly what this is, because it's off the kitchen. So why are they calling this a second floor balcony?
Because where I've identified defined first-story floor, zoning examiners interpret the bylaw in their own way, and they're the ones who are issuing the permit. He's defined that finished mudroom floor as a first story. Okay. And it's literally due to the grade change, and that's why I bubbled the grade change from the start to the finish. There's a grade change which has identified the finished mudroom as a first floor, but the dwelling's being considered a 3-story dwelling. But through you, Sir Chair, if you pull up the front elevation, you'll see that clearly it's functioning as a 2-story dwelling. Yeah. So and that the platform that they're calling it is actually at the first story, not the second story, out of the kitchen, not the bedroom. Yeah.
So in that case, you want the 13. You want it as shown. You're saying they never discussed it, and in fact, it is not a balcony. And perhaps we can put verbiage. The reason it's being granted is it's really a deck. Anyway, let's see if other members have. Yeah. Let's see if the committee members, any of the members, have any questions for you. But that's a very important thing to advise us of that, because when I read it, I said, "Oh, okay, they're a bit of a soft. It's still over 4 meters, but it's at least less than what they asked for, and figured it was squared off." But anyone have any questions?
I don't think so. Just a comment. I think because of the height above ground at that point, they're considering it to be a platform as opposed to a deck. So I get that, but I also understand the mitigating circumstance.
Yeah, the proposed at or above the second story. It's not presenting it as a second story platform. It's presented as a. Okay, so any more questions, or is someone ready to make a motion?
Mr. Chair, I'll move approval on grounds that the requested variances are minor in nature and meet the other tests under the Planning Act as well. So my motion for approval would be subject to urban forestry condition 1 and the planning department's condition 1.
Okay. Thank you.
And through you, third chair, can I just confirm what condition 1 is? Is that
Just in
the
the middle
permit
of a
that you're
Yeah, we're in the
destroying?
middle of a motion, but I'll. It's the one. It's not the one with the deck. He's not. We're not imposing.
We're
that 10
tying
meter.
it to the drawing submitted October 29th.
Let's friendly amendment to have it tied to the plans.
No, that is
tied-
planning condition 1.
Oh, okay.
Can I just read it out, Mr.
Yep.
Chair? The condition that I'm recommending, sir, is that the proposed development shall be constructed substantially in accordance with the floor plans as it relates to the FSI calculation and the front and rear elevation plans as they relate to the front and rear exterior wall height submitted October 29th, 2020, and held on file by the Committee of Adjustment.
Okay, so seconded for that motion.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Unanimous approval.
Perfect. Thank you so much,
Okay,
Sir
Mr.
Chair and fellow
Marchese.
committee members.
Okay.
Have a
See
great
you
day.
again. Okay, the next application is item number 24. 47 Chestnut Hills Parkway. And it's an application to construct a one-story rear addition. A previous Committee of Adjustment application approved a new detached dwelling with an integral garage and approved variances relating to floor space index and height. There are 3 variances. We have a site-specific zoning bylaw, and planning is recommending refusal, and 43, it says is not opposed. Is that correct? Yeah, there's a support. They're not opposed. And planning is recommending refusal, and the agent is, or the owner is John Kelly Horgan. And we have and then I believe there's an agent, Alan Diaz.
So, Mr. Chairman, the owner won't be representing the application. It'll be Alan Diaz, the agent.
Okay, but there's no one here with concerns or an opposition? Okay. And we have the planning memo. Welcome, Mr. Diaz.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman. Yes, my name is Alan Diaz. I'm the agent for the homeowners. And I would just like to add to the whatever it is that you have letters of support in hand. There are actually 4 letters of support, including the immediate neighbor at 32 Finchley Road.
Yeah, they must have come in late. They must have come in late because all we have is the one letter from 43.
43, so there was one for 45 Chestnut Hills Parkway, 33 Finchley Road, and 32 Finchley Road. So there are 4 in total, and they're uploaded in the file.
Okay.
So, yeah, just to give you a quick background on the previous application that was approved in 2014. This house is similar to what you've had earlier with the floor space index, including the basement. And the reason for that is that because of a high water table on the site and geotechnical engineer's report recommending that the house be raised higher than 1.2 meters above grade.
So that's why you're at 1.67, right? That's why you're at 1.67.
That is correct. That is correct. Yes.
Okay. So what happened?
So
you got that approval, and first of all, has this been built?
That was Sorry.
Has this been built already?
It has been built. Yes, since 2014. Yes.
Okay.
And So that was approved in the past, and the current homeowners who've been there for around 3 years, they just want to extend the back corner where the kitchen is to just have more living space. The square footage of that addition is very minimal, and it only accounts for 0.01% of the lot area. And it does not extend beyond the legally established building envelope. So even the length and the depth variances, I believe, are minor.
So why are they minded? You say it's technicals. You've mentioned another application we had here today where it counted because of the porch had a basement or a cellar underneath. So then it was counted.
No.
Is that what you're saying? Or this?
I think what he's saying,
No,
if I may,
the length did not. Yeah, no, the length does not have anything to do with the house being
addition.
raised.
So it's 3.5 meters longer than permitted.
so if you
Yeah,
were not
yeah.
putting an addition on whatsoever, you would still need these two variances to comply with the bylaw.
Why is that?
If we were not putting the addition, the existing house is already at that
That's the point he's
19
trying to make.
meters.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
This is previous decision. What's his? Isn't there? What's his FSI in his previous decision?
If you look at the plans,
He was at 0.79 times the area of the lot.
Right. So I did the calculation. If we were to remove the basement, our GFA would be 165 plus 52% of lot area, and our FSI would be 0.574 of lot area.
You're only going up 2% in lot area.
Oh, sorry. Let me rephrase. Our GFA would be 165 plus 28.5% of lot area, and our FSI would be 0.574 of lot area if we took away the basement.
Okay. So what they do in the planning report is they talk about what you were given permission to do in 2014 and you built your house. And they say that although the proposed one-story rear addition would not be extending beyond the existing building length and depth, the proposed variances for FSI, building length and building up, are not comparable to approvals. But I guess the depth and
Correct.
depth and length are still there. So it's only the FSI which is going up, what, 2%? Or that's the coverage? Oh, it's the way it's
only,
defined here. The gross floor area.
It's only going up. Yeah. It was approved for 2% over permitted, the GFA, in 2014, and we're at 3.5% over at this point.
So am I wrong? You're only basically 8 meters over what you're.
Yeah.
Just 8 more meters.
7.1,
So why is community planning opposed?
8.1.
because I think they're looking at it as if this were a new application that they'd be bringing today with the whole, holistically, they're saying it would be over.
Oh, okay, so he did the house in 2014, the one-story addition now. If he did it all, if he had asked for that back in 2014, he wouldn't have gotten it, is what they're saying?
Theoretically. But it's one of those that, okay, you give him the length because it's not the full length of the house, but now he's infilling that little bit that wasn't part of that length originally.
Right. But it is only 8 square meters and it's only 2% more, but, okay, any further questions for?
If I can add one
Yeah.
more thing, I also uploaded the staff report from 2014 where they actually acknowledged the fact that it was being raised due to the high water table.
Yeah, okay.
So and they did consider that as not, they did not have any issues with the height and the GFA because
Right.
the basement was being included.
No, but now they're saying, because you're adding that on, that was then, that was now, it's 6 years later.
Yeah, I
story
don't
addition.
think they dug enough. They dug into the files to read their staff report in 2014. They must have just missed it.
Okay, any more questions or is someone ready for a motion?
I think the fact that there's no one opposing this speaks to whether it's minor or not. And what is actually being sought, I do believe to be minor. So therefore, I'm actually going to recommend approval.
Okay. Are there any conditions with that? I don't think so. Okay, seconder for that motion? Mr. Taylor, all in favor? Unanimous approval. Thank you, Mr. Diaz.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Okay, our next application is item number 25, which I believe is a request by planning for deferral. 56 Tedder Street. We have registered Nelson Espinola as agent and Sean Holt from 27 Ward Street. Oh, that's the owner's son-in-law available for questions. Okay, so we don't have anyone here in opposition. Mr. Espinola?
Yes, very good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee.
Hello, sir. How are you?
Nelson Espinola here.
Yeah, did I see here that this planning requesting a deferral on this?
Yes.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we have read the staff report dated November the 12th and respectfully request the application not to be deferred. During my conversation with Tamer Chaudhry, the assistant planner on file, concerns were expressed with the proposed coverage, setting a precedent for upcoming applications. Although I totally understand and respect the position of the planning department, my experience in dealing with the committee is that decisions are generally made based on individual merit of each application and not on precedents.
Yes.
Our application fits within these parameters, and I will cite two examples. Within the block between Jane Street in Tedder and Harding Avenue and Thurdale, number 53 Tedder Street is the only one-story dwelling. All other dwellings are two-story. Although the highest approval lot coverage stands at around 37.9, our total floor space index is approximately half of all other properties within this block. Presently, the existing lot coverage is 158.83 square meters,
Okay,
which
sir,
is about
sir,
37.
let's just back up a second. I'm just reading the staff
Yep.
report. They want it to be deferred. We have to deal with that issue before we hear what the merits and go on that. So it looks like they got a big problem with the coverage on the lot at 40.78, where 30%. They said it's because you got all kinds of stuff all over the property. Currently has an existing house, a rear canopy, a concrete block garage, a shed. In combination with the proposed one-story rear addition, it would be 40.78. And they feel that the plans can be revised in order to reduce the lot coverage to a variance that is more in keeping with approved lot coverages in the area. So they're saying that previously they're giving us some information. The highest approved variance was for lot coverage of 37.9. It says planning staff have discussed these concerns with the applicant. The applicant has advised that the proposed addition cannot be modified any further in order to reduce lot coverage. So I guess you're saying you're not able or willing to take down your garage or your shed or any of these other things other than the main house, which is adding to the coverage. Is that correct? You're not
That's
going to
correct.
make any changes, so there's no point deferring it, and in which case you're leaving it in the hands of the committee to make a decision, yes or no. So
That's correct.
You do not want to defer, okay?
We prefer not to defer, no.
Okay, we will deal with what's before us and what we have in front of us. Okay?
Okay.
So, right, so if you can please tell us why this is worthy of approval, given community planning's view that 40% plus is not appropriate and should be reduced by taking out some of those buildings on the property.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, like I mentioned, we're the only one-story dwelling within this entire block. I mean, I could understand us reducing the coverage.
So go up.
If our house was, for instance, a two-story dwelling.
Sure. So, but I think you see it affects the very. Why don't you don't want to do a second story? Because they're saying, I guess, the
No,
build
it'll
form, the
be
build form is either to keep it a bungalow as you have, but they're figuring this one-story addition is too much. It results in a lot coverage of only almost 41%. Especially if you don't want to remove any of your other buildings, because they feel it's too much lot coverage and too much, I guess, there is no length variance or anything like that, but.
No, there isn't, and it's a very small increase in terms of percentage. I mean, right now we got approximately 38%.
Okay, you're 30, yeah, but
And it's
30 is permitted,
it's
so you're already well over what's permitted on that lot.
That's correct, yeah.
Yeah. So again, you know, if you weren't applying, they were leaving you alone at 38%, but given that you're coming now for an additional 2.5 or 3%, they're saying sort of that's the straw that, you know, this goes too far. So the question, I assume, I don't know if they had any discussions with you that they would prefer for you to go up. And that's why they want you to defer rather than having it heard and potentially getting refused and having to reapply and pay another application fee. So, but if you want to go ahead, then
Going up would be very expensive for my client.
yeah.
And you know, it's not something that you know, makes sense for my client financially.
Okay. Okay. So, would you like to add anything to advise the committee or see if they have any questions?
I was hoping that the committee could understand that, you know, we are a bit over in coverage, but we are, as I mentioned, you know, the only one story within the block. But at the end of the day, I mean, we are willing to compromise and maybe remove half of the shed if that comes down to it.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. Espinola, or is someone ready for a motion?
Mr. Chair, I find these variances meet the 4 tests under the Planning Act, and I recommend approval.
Okay, thank you. Any condition? No conditions. Okay.
Without conditions.
Thank you. Seconder for Mr. Taylor's motion?
Can I do a friendly on that? Well, your interpretation, if it would be friendly, what about the condition is to remove the shed to bring down the, but I guess
he doesn't want to do that.
He said he would be willing to do that, but he won't know what the numbers are. That'll be the problem.
Oh, is that what he said?
But he didn't present any revisions to the committee. He made his presentation. So the committee's making a decision on these 2 variances.
No, it's before he didn't, he said he was unwilling to defer because he wasn't planning on taking down any of the outbuildings, which would have brought his number down.
Okay, I'm not going to second that.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just looking at the site plan. You have a garage, and then there's some other outbuildings showing. You know.
There's a garage and a shed.
Yeah, well, you should at least be willing to, you know, to get the type of relief, and not willing to take down even the small shed.
Laura, are you willing to
Looks like there's a whole
second this
bunch of sheds
motion?
on the adjacent flankage, so there are concrete block garages all over. So the question is Laura seconding Mr. Taylor's
I
motion?
think Stan seconded the motion, did he not?
No.
No, because he wanted to add a condition about taking out the shed, but the applicant did not offer to take out the shed. He said he was going with what's on the property, which affects the coverage, being the concrete block garage, the 1-story addition, and the shed. So that's why Stan decided he wasn't.
I do recall that he said he would remove the shed if necessary.
But he hasn't. So the application is the way it's before you. So
Is what's before us.
Yeah.
Because community planning wants it refused, in all good conscience, I feel I can't second that motion, so.
They didn't ask for refusal, they asked for
Deferral, yeah.
Okay, so that motion.
It's interesting because sometimes they do say if it's not deferred, it should be refused. They didn't say that this time, and it's just.
No, sorry, deferral.
No, sorry.
no, the
So this
motion is
motion fails. Do we
approval.
have another motion?
I'll make a motion
I
to
can't second.
defer.
Yeah. He doesn't
And your
wanna
reason
defer.
for the deferral?
Because that is what community planning is asking us to do,
Yeah.
and
So to
I think
further
that's a
consult with
reasonable request
Yeah, but
to further consult with community planning, yes.
we canvassed that with the applicant agent, and his position was he did not wish to defer. He wished to proceed with what was before us. So I guess that's what we should be doing.
So our option is then just to refuse?
You refuse or accept.
I don't think the applicant anticipated we would refuse, but I'd be willing to second the
You wish to
deferral.
ask him a question?
Well,
I don't think
Can
we
we?
should be deferring. We've spent time hearing it.
we didn't spend a
We
lot
can
of
open it,
time.
we can ask him, if a member has a question for the applicant, we can open it up and put that question to him.
But we're in the middle of a motion right now.
I know, but depending Mr. Kamarik's willingness to second the motion, I'm not allowed to second motions unless I am, is dependent on
Only on
whether
a
he's prepared
3
to
or
take
5
off
minutes.
this small little shed. And then he gets his approval, at least gets his motion seconded. He may not get his approval, but he gets his motion seconded. So I think we should ask him, because it wasn't clear. I thought, I heard him say, as did, that he would not take
Yeah.
anything away, and Laura and Stan say they recall him saying something about that. So I
He
think
said
we
he
should.
was willing to, if necessary, but he didn't.
Okay, well,
I
can
don't
we
know what
ask
that
him
means.
if he will?
Can we ask him now?
Well, it's your decision.
Yeah, so it's our decision.
He had a choice.
Motion to ask to open up to hear from the applicant on the issue of the shed, to answer that question for you. Is that a motion? I move that we ask him the question.
Well,
I don't know,
second.
we need a motion for that? You want to ask
No.
the gentleman the question?
Is he unmuted?
Oh, yeah, because your motion was irrespective of whether he takes the shed.
Yeah.
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 Am I able to comment on it?
We're actually asking you to comment on it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so the question is,
Okay.
if you've been listening in, are you prepared to remove the shed, in which case Mr. Komarik will second the motion of approval from Mr.
No,
Taylor?
deferral. The
Approval.
motion right now is a deferral.
No, it's not, it's an approval.
Well, no,
That motion failed.
that
So
motion
we're gonna do a
failed.
Second motion.
Well, it failed only because Mr. Komarik wouldn't second it because he didn't have the answer on the shed, so we're,
I know, so at this point, the applicant did not make any revisions before motion started. He cannot make any revisions now.
okay, that's fine. So, can I
So
second
it's
the
a
motion?
motion for deferral.
Can I second the motion?
No, because what if you cause a tie again?
Okay. I think we should start having 5 members or 3 members. We'll talk about that later. Okay, well, he said he didn't want to defer. Community planning wanted. He says he was not making changes, so we're penalizing him. He's entitled to a decision on this today, I believe, because he said he didn't want to defer. And an issue is the members here are not clear on what the gentleman proposed with respect to this shed.
So I thought the question to Mr. Espinola was going to be if he's willing to defer so that he can make the revisions.
No, he already told us he's not willing to defer and make the revisions.
But we're going back to him and asking him that.
Okay, so rather than spending 15 minutes deciding whether we can ask him, I believe the members would like him to answer that question. And then we can go back to this motion and perhaps not muck up and have a deferral for no reason when we have an issue. And then he can, we're looking at significant delay. I believe so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so the motion, can we ask Mr. Espinola the question? Mr. Espinola,
Yes, I'm here, Mr. Chairman.
you've been listening in
I
to
am
what's
willing
been going
to-
on.
I'm willing to.
There's
defer
been a
the
motion
application
for
until
approval.
the board-
There's been a motion for Mr. Taylor to approve your application. Mr. Kumarik is prepared to second that motion, but only on the basis that the shed be removed. It is unclear from hearing you, whether you said you would be willing to remove the shed in order to get this matter approved. So that's the question for you.
Yes, we're willing to remove the shed.
Thank you. So
On that basis, I'm assuming the motion to defer has failed. So
We
we're
haven't
Yep.
declared it yet.
okay.
Okay.
And so Laura brought a motion to defer, so we have to vote on that. On the motion, is there a seconder for the motion to defer? That motion fails. Can I have a new motion? And it can be your old motion with the condition.
I find the variance is requested to be minor in nature, and I would recommend approval subject to the removal of what is shown as frame shed attached to concrete block garage.
That will bring down the coverage.
No, it won't, because the committee is making a decision on the variances before them, which include a variance for coverage. Should you put in a condition that advises him he has to demolish the shed, he can now increase the size of the dwelling to meet the coverage that is shown before you.
I think the implication from the members is that we would, from Mr. Kamarick rather, not Mr. Taylor, is that the condition would be, the approval would be something less than the 40 point whatever, because it would be reduced by the,
But we don't have
by
those
the shed.
numbers.
Yeah, and I'm sure he doesn't have that either. No one has those numbers?
No.
Okay. No, we're trying.
So we have a motion to approve again.
Okay,
Motion to approve, but based on the.
so then the motion is without conditions?
Well, the motion for the taking the shed would result, it wouldn't be 40.78, it would be something less. And that would help community planning and not having such a big coverage issue, because it would be reduced by the shed. But now the problem is we don't know how big the shed is in order to do that.
The shed is small.
calculation. It's small, so it's not going to affect the number by much.
Okay,
No, it
so
isn't.
you know what, let's make this simple. Don, are you willing to amend your motion to say no conditions, which you originally put on the table?
How? Maybe.
The original motion. Just,
The original motion.
Okay, I'll second the original motion.
okay, all in favor? Okay, it's unanimous.
Okay, forget it.
Okay, so Mr. Espinola, you have your approval.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you. Item number 26 is 8 Stonegate Road. It's an application for a one-story front addition and a front porch, one variance, which is the front yard setback. We have an arborist report. TRC conditions. We have 13 letters of support, I think. No. We have TRCA letter, arborist letter. RNFP, Ravine and Natural Feature Protection, advised no ravine permit is required. And then we have photos have been provided. And urban forestry is, oh, sorry, I'm on the wrong one. Okay, back to number 26. It's only for front addition, one variance, front yard setback, and an arborist report and a TRCA condition. And the speaker is Mary Ellen Lynch.
Yes, I am here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, good afternoon.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee members. I think our proposal is fairly straightforward, but if you'd like me to present, I'm happy to do so.
I don't think that's, committee members don't think that's necessary, do you? Okay.
Just one quick question. There was a fairly complicated chain of emails from Urban Forestry. I wonder if there are any conclusive conditions that came as a result of that I might have missed, because I read through a lot of emails from Urban Forestry.
No, there was a final email from Ravine and Protection saying that no further permit would be required from them. And I think that covers urban forestry. Is that right?
Yes, it would have.
Okay. And that mainly had to do with some reconstruction repair work at the rear deck, which is an existing condition. It wasn't related to the front addition.
Okay, and TRCA was okay, right?
Yes,
That's what
there's
I
a
got on my notation here.
Yes, there's a
Okay.
permit already in the file from TRCA.
And we've got nothing from community planning on this, so I'm prepared to make a motion to approve. I believe it meets the 4 tests. It's minor in nature and desirable, and there you have it.
Okay. So there is no TRCA conditions, is that correct?
No, I don't see any conditions at all,
Yeah.
so
I just had a note, it may have been on the last. Hold on.
that's why I wanted to clarify urban forestry,
No,
because it was fairly complicated.
Madam Secretary, isn't this whole list of standard conditions, 1 to 13?
No, that's it's not a letter to the committee. It's actually the letter from TRCA to the applicant advising of what they'll have to do.
Okay, so
for
that's
the-
an independent, it's
So
not
that's,
related
that's
to
their
us.
approval process.
Okay.
So I will second the motion that's
Okay.
on the floor.
All in favor? Unanimous approval. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a good day.
Okay. Okay, item number 27 is 21 Poplar Avenue.
Yes, good afternoon, Mr. Chairperson and
Just
committee
want to see,
members.
we have Jamie Zabo as the agent, and just if I can, 21 Poplar. Just want to see if there's any conditions here. An application, partial second-story addition on the north side of the dwelling, and we have any conditions? No, we have nothing whatsoever on this. So let's see if committee members have any questions for you. I don't believe we need a presentation.
Just an urban forestry condition number 1 on 27.
Yeah, do you have a question for the, or just pointing out?
No,
that these-
I just wanted to add that there was an urban forestry condition number 1.
Okay, do you would like to make a motion?
I can do that, yep. I can make a motion to approve the variances. I believe they're minor in nature and desirable for the site, with condition from urban forestry number 1.
Thank you, Ms. Alderson, seconder for that. Mr. Taylor, all in favor, unanimous approval. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson and committee members.
Thank you. Okay, next application is item number 28, 6 Belvale Avenue. This is an application for another new detached dwelling with an attached garage. There are 3 variances. Basically, we have an email about the reduced GFA and eliminating the 3rd floor. And we have correspondence from number 8 to number 14, I believe. Yeah, we have an email. Community planning is okay, and we have letters from 8 and from 14. And we have speakers from 64 Lingrove and 4 Belvale.
Mr. Chairman, the neighbor from 64 Lingrove Avenue will not be joining us today.
Okay.
And the person from 4 Belvale Avenue will be Maria Zuccarelli.
Okay. Okay, Mr. Galvez, welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, why don't you give us a brief presentation? And we have a neighbor here.
Sure.
You have several variances. Can you just advise, what we have an email about the reduced GFA and eliminating the 3rd floor. Can you just walk us through that?
So when
how that happened?
Absolutely. So when we began the project, we looked at the surrounding neighborhood, and in particular, the previous decisions that were made by Committee of Adjustments on that street. And we found that the RFA of 0.60 and over has been supported. Addresses such as 7, 14, 18, and 20 have between 0.58 and 0.72. So our proposal at first was a 2-story with a small space on the 3rd, but planning didn't think that should go through. We were happy to just delete it because we just really wanted to make sure it fit within the neighborhood. So we got rid of the whole 3rd floor.
Yeah.
So
That 3rd floor was going to
on
be
the
inside.
revised.
Yeah. Was there going to be any height associated with that, or was it just going to be built inside the roof?
With tucked in the roof.
Okay.
So we got rid of that. We were happy with that. We're fine.
Okay, and you brought
So,
originally, I guess you had a higher GFA. You brought it down to 0.6 to 67% or 0.67.
Exactly. Exactly. 0.67 by eliminating that entire.
So you've
third
made
floor.
changes to accommodate or respond to community planning's concerns, and they're now satisfied. And now we have 2 letters from the neighbors. So why don't we listen to the neighbors and you can respond to the concern. Oh yeah, one thing that I guess they brought up, both of them, I guess they still seem to feel that there's some kind of a stairwell going to a 3rd floor, which is on the drawings. I don't know if that was supposed to be deleted when you eliminated the 3rd floor or not, and this was an oversight, because obviously the way it presents, they think you're just going to use the 3rd floor anyway.
Right, so that I'm referring to revised plans on the site dated October 27th. They do not show stairs going up the 3rd floor. So they may be referring to the previous submission. I don't know, but they're not on, there's no stairs to 3rd floor.
So there's a new submission, new set of drawings, which do not show those.
The drawings that we have show the staircase. So I don't know what.
Going up to 3rd floor?
Yep.
Oh, okay, because I'm seeing the drawings on the website here with the revised ones, and they don't show. I mean, they're the ones that I submitted October 27th.
Is there a date on these? Hold on.
October, okay. So
October 26th.
So what's the date of what's the date of the drawings that you submitted that do not have the staircase?
Should have been, 1 second. Sorry, I even referenced the ones that are on this website here, so now I'm going to go into mine, sorry.
October 26th drawings still show it.
Upper Hall.
Where does it, sorry, where does it say going up the 3rd floor? That shed's going down. There is no stairs going up. Sorry, this is where I'm confused, sorry. There is no stairs going up.
So we're looking at the 2nd floor
Okay, I see the wall now.
Yeah, 2nd floor elevation. I don't see it either.
Yeah, sorry. I think it, yeah.
I need it to zoom in more.
The 2nd floor plan.
No worries.
So it's the staircase going down, not up.
Yeah, to the left, it looked like there was a staircase going up as well. So
yeah, well.
Okay.
Yeah, no, we're absolutely eliminating it. We can't. We're not doing it.
So on that drawing,
not going to be built.
Okay, just to totally clarify, on that drawing where it says upper landing, that landing lies between the 1st floor and the 2nd floor. Is that correct?
Correct. Correct. These same drawings show building sections. We are not going to build it in any way to house the 3rd floor in any time in any future event.
Okay, so then you wouldn't be opposed, should there be an approval that we tie it to these this floor plan?
Yeah, sure. Like absolutely. There's all these plans attached to this one show no 3rd floor whatsoever.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay. You know, again, in many cases, inside the 3rd floor, the roof line, what people do after get approvals, unless you're on some streets in Forest Hill where they're going out at night and looking, they can see light coming from the 3rd floor. They know that they're using it, but you've changed your plans, and so what's before us is what's before us. So let's hear from Maria Zuccarelli at 4 Belvale Avenue.
Hi, good afternoon. It's Maria Zuccarelli at 4 Belvale. I'm the bungalow to the south.
Yep.
Yeah, that was one of our concerns, is the staircase leading up to a proposed 3rd floor, which would, impact our light definitely. The size and the height. We're a bungalow and the 8 meters high. That's concerning for the amount of sunlight we'll be losing. On that side of our house, we have several windows, dining room, 2 dining room, bedroom, and a bathroom as well. The side door to the mudroom, that is directly opposite our bathroom our bathroom window and partially to our dining room, that whole area there. So we're finding it, it's going to impact our privacy and just the proximity to our house. To have an existing door that will be a high traffic area, you know, we're concerned about that. And as well, there's no mention of air conditioner, where it will be. I imagine for a house this size, it will be noisy, big. So that's another concern we had. And then, of course, the below grade garage. We're just very concerned about noise, vibration, just being able to enjoy our house and not be able to hear anything from the adjoining below grade garage, and any impact that might have on water, drainage, water table, anything like that. So again, we're the bungalow, so any sunlight that we can have, it's great. Thank you.
Okay, any questions for Ms. Ziccarelli? We also have a letter from,
I do.
similar letter to number 8. Go ahead.
Just one question. You mentioned sunlight. Your house sits to the south of this house, correct?
Correct. And we have part of our bedroom, 3-bedroom windows that are impacted on that side, as well as our bathroom and 2 dining room windows.
Okay, but would you agree that a house built to the north of yours would have no impact on sunlight?
No, because the sun will be setting in the yard, right where the wall will be, where the extension. And that's where the sun hits, right there. So that will be impacted. It's right at the angle where it sets is where the house will be as well. So
I disagree. The sun rises in the east and sets in the west along the southern sky. But anyway, we'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions for Ms. Ziccarelli? We'll take it back to Mr. Galvez to respond to what she had to say and then take it into committee for a decision. Mr. Galvez.
Sure.
So you've seen the 2 opposition letters from either side. They're sort of similar. We do have one of the neighbors at 4 present. And she has some concerns. Obviously, she's in a bungalow, so that obviously, you know,
Absolutely.
exacerbates the effects on her home by building a 2-story house next door.
So yeah, with the proposal with the full basement and a walkout featuring the additional 1 parking space in the underneath the current garage, that's not to drive around in the basement. It's simply to park a car that's been shut off with a lift. Yeah. We wouldn't see any issues with noise or vibration. Again, it's just to store a car, seeing as we're limited to parking. We do understand though that this house is larger in mass compared to what's there. I get that on the northeast side, they enjoy an opening because the current house has nothing behind the garage, which would kind of give them that northeast, whatever, that kind of orientation or light. But, you know, when you're building a home now, the first floor is only 1,400 square feet. The second floor is 1,600. A total living space of 3,000. It's by no means super large. It's a nice home, but we understand that there's older homes that aren't maybe as big as this one proposed, but there are many on that same street that are basically the same size, if not bigger. And it's safe to say that some of these older ones may, you know, within a few years, who knows, be sold off and the same thing done to them. We hope, like, and with her air conditioning concerns or rain, like water running, like we have to do all things by code, or that has to be, obviously, we can't just dump water onto some neighboring property. So those things would be all done according to any local standards and building code. As for the air conditioner, we certainly will be placing it in a wise place. They have high efficiency ones that aren't so loud. You know, those things are, yeah, we get it. We don't want to be that neighbor that causes you issues. So we're certainly going to do everything we can that by code.
Okay, thank you. Committee members, any follow-up questions for the agent or for the neighbor for that matter? And are we ready for a motion?
Mr. Chair, I find the requested variances to be minor in nature and satisfying the remaining tests under the Planning Act as well. And I recommend approval subject to urban forestry condition number 2.
Thank you, Mr. Taylor.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay. All in favor? Unanimous approval. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, item 2940 Pritchard Avenue has to be an automatic deferral. The applicant had advised that they did not want to be scheduled, and somehow the lines of communication didn't follow through. We sent out a notice, but a sign was not posted.
Okay, so it was
Yeah.
scheduled in error or whatever. Okay, so we need a motion for that? No one's
Just
hearing?
to defer it to the next
Okay.
available hearing date.
It'll be on the next hearing?
I don't know when.
Okay.
He's moving.
Next available date. Can I have a
Yeah.
motion to that?
If you need a motion, I'll move a motion to defer.
Moved by Mr. Kamarick, seconded by Ms. Alderson. All in favor? Okay, matters deferred. That helps.
Thank
Item number 30, which was deferred from the July 22nd hearing, 20 Edgecroft Road. Let me just get to that. We have one speaker, Kathy Kadziela, the owner. Didn't pre-register. Let's just see what we have here. Okay, this is a, 29. Okay, item number 30 is 20 Edgecroft Road, an application to construct a new detached dwelling with an attached garage. There are 7 variances. Planning is requesting as a condition of approval, it be built substantially in accordance with respect to the east side elevation and site plan, dated October 22nd. And I believe there are some transportation. There's applicant submissions, planning, transportation. And that's in forestry, urban forestry condition number 1. Kathy Kadziela, the owner, or is someone else going to be speaking?
Nope, it's me. Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee.
Okay, welcome. So yeah, so this matter was deferred back in July. Nice sunny July.
Yeah.
We're still in COVID, but at least it was sunny and warm.
I know. Yep.
So the purpose, I'm just trying to see why this was deferred.
It was deferred on July.
Oh, to modify plans. Okay. Modify plans to
Exactly.
accurately reflect the proposal. So the plans and the proposal, it was too big, but it didn't match. Okay.
Yes, we were concerned with the misinterpretation of the design and variances by the neighbors.
Right.
So we revised the drawings to show the correct orientation of the dwelling elevations as they will be built on site.
Okay.
And then further to the update of the application and recirculation of the notice, we have not been approached by any of the neighbors with any concerns. So
Okay.
that was the extent of the deferral.
Okay. Okay, and you know that there's transportation and planning conditions. So any questions for Ms. Kadziela? And if not, are we ready for a motion? We have a transportation condition and planning condition.
Okay, I find the application to be minor in meeting the 4 tests. I would therefore like to move approval with the following conditions. That the application be subject submitted in accordance with the east elevations submitted on October 22nd, 2020, as outlined by planning, and also subject to transportation conditions 1, 2, and 3, and also subject to forestry condition 1.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Kamarick. Do we have a seconder for that motion? Mr. Taylor, all in favor? Unanimous approval again. Thank you. Good luck with your home.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee.
Okay. Item number 31, 44 Monkton. Application for a 2-story rear addition and a 2nd-story addition above the existing dwelling. There are 5 variances. This was deferred from the August 13th, 2020 hearing. I think this changed. Okay, and the applicant is Raymond Sandu, the agent, and Tia Kuo at 33 Monkton, I guess across.
Mr. Chairman, the neighbor at 33 Monkton will not be joining us today.
Okay. So we just have the agents. Yes, so could you please, Raman Sandhu, can you just advise why this was deferred, and then I think the nature of the application changed?
Yes, so previous proposal of yes, so it was a new house and planning supported our proposal, but forestry was not allowing us to put new foundation since there's a big tree in the front. So we changed the proposal to an addition, and we plan to keep the front foundation so we don't disturb the tree. There is a little front porch we are doing, but we are doing out of helical piles, therefore not affecting the front tree. And everything else is almost similar to the previous application as supported by planning. A few variances arose because the front setback variance 7.13 instead of 7.1. This is existing, but since the zoning bylaw reflected it, this is one variance. The other variance is 0.44 meters on the north side. So this is the existing side. We are just planning to build on top of that wall. The other side, there is a variance of 1.03 instead of 1.2. So that is one variance we are asking for. And the other 2 variances, which are the gross floor area of 0.68 times. This was in line with what the planning approved before in the deferred application, and same is the lot coverage of 40.17.
Okay, thank you, sir. Committee members, any questions for the agent, or are we ready for a motion?
So I have a quick question then. Because you are not going to be taking down that tree, so urban forestry condition number 2 does not apply anymore. Is that correct?
Yes.
I don't see, we don't have a forestry?
Yeah, I had urban forestry number 2, but I also had number 3 and number 5. So I'm a little confused.
No,
Sorry,
we just have to use the current memo, which only refers to condition 2.
We should, okay, so that's right. So that was an older memo that I was looking at as well. So the condition number 2 then does not apply any longer. Is that correct?
I think it still does, because condition, yeah, that's for a private tree, right? That still applies.
It does. I think it does apply.
It does apply because
It does
the tree's
apply.
not being, no, yeah, absolutely.
So number 2 is for a private, number 1 is for city-owned tree.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay, is someone ready to bring a motion?
Is that tree that's in the front on private property? It's not a city-owned tree.
The tree is on the private property.
Yeah.
Okay.
Private,
Yeah,
Otherwise, it'd be
so
far
absolutely,
enough away,
okay.
it wouldn't be affected.
So I'd like to move the motion to approve. I believe we meet the 4 tests. subject to forestry condition number 2 to preserve that tree, which is, I believe, what you're trying to do.
Yes.
Okay.
I can second that motion.
Thank you, Ms. Alderson. All in favor? Unanimous approval. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you,
Sanders.
sir.
Okay, and then
So-
we have to go back to
Item number 22.
2022. 2 Buttonwood, new seniors residence. Is anyone here?
Mr. Berardo Massioli?
Massioli on behalf. Yes, Berardo Massioli on behalf of.
You have to stop muting and unmuting yourself. So I'm going, okay, you are now unmuted, so you can continue.
Okay, this is for a new seniors residence.
Massioli?
Yeah. Okay, so we have the counselor in support. We have planning has no issue with the site plan agreement extension. And this is for something was approved in March 2013. We have a covering letter indicating what this is all about. And we have the speaker, only one speaker, Berardo Massioli. So welcome. You're our last application of the afternoon.
Chair, members.
Yes, sir, go ahead.
I will try to be short. Very quickly, this particular property was that it was in front of this committee back in 2013. At that time, looking for variances for height, which were granted, and for a reduction in the number of parking spaces, which was also granted with a site plan that was applied for very shortly thereafter, which was approved by community planning. We have spoken to community planning and received an extension for the site plan agreement. Upon application for the building permit, the buildings department identified 4 variances due to a change in the comprehensive bylaw and the interval time. Those points then, with respect to the variance request number 1 with regards to maximum permitted height.
Yes.
I would point the committee to your 2013 decision where you had approved the height for this property to 17.7 meters. Our current plan, and as per the site plan approval, we're only looking to do 17.55 meters. With respect to variances 2, 3, and 4, they are mostly technical in nature, dealing with parking spaces and changes to the comprehensive bylaw from the time that this was previously approved. We actually have difficulty that if we do not receive this relief that is required by the buildings department, that we would have to revisit and redo the site plan agreement again at an expense, but more importantly with the time it takes for circulation for review again. The site plan is the same one with the same changes as originally approved, and actually we're not allowed to construct this building in any other form or function other than what we currently have put in front of the buildings department. Very quickly then, with regards to the parking variances, is rental apartment development permitted under the OP adjacent to another apartment building. With respect to point 1, the city's planning guidance and the official plan for building heights along arterial facing buildings permits higher elevations in the proposed development. So I move that the development meets the general intent and purpose of the official plan. The property is zoned for the construction of a residential apartment building, has received the prior committee of adjustment variance approval for the number of parking spaces to support the development. While they're not in keeping with the wording of the current zoning bylaw, we rely on the 2013 variance approvals for the number of parking spaces as laid out in the supplied site plan that community planning advises is still in full force and effect. With respect to the first one with regards to the height, the elevation was also approved as part of the site plan application. So I respectfully suggest the development meets the general intent and purpose of the zoning. Sorry.
No, we've been having some trouble. We've been really having to pay attention because you keep sort of cutting out, but I think we got the gist of it. So also we have the covering letter, we have the counselor in support, planning is advised there's no further issue, and transportation that there's no condition, that they're okay with what you propose.
Correct.
So let's see if committee members have any questions for you or if someone's ready to make a motion. And yeah, so the issue about the site plan, so there you just need, you're working on that concurrently, correct?
Site plan has been approved.
Oh, it has been
completed.
approved.
We're applying for building permits.
Okay. Okay. I thought there was some issue about getting that extension, or I thought I read something about that. So is anyone ready to make a motion?
I got one.
You have a question for the applicant? Go ahead.
Yes, sir. I just noticed in the previous decision on this property from 2013, you got approval for a 17.7 meter building height. And now you're requesting approval for a
Correct.
variance for 17.5. Can you just explain why you need to do that?
As we went through the site plan application process, we worked with the site grading, and we determined that we were able to get away with a short building overall. So the only height that we require now is 17.55 meters instead of the 17.7 that was previously approved.
I don't understand. If you previously got permission, thanks for catching that, Mr. Taylor. You were given approval at 17.7 and a total of 5 stories.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
why do you need 17.5 now? If that's less. It's in a different area, or is your maximum height on your...
It's a function.
17.55 is less than the
Yes, it's when we
17.7 that you already have from 6
Like to
years ago.
Without getting into it, this department has identified it as a variance. The argument that our site plan approval and the elevation that secured that approval is actually left what was required from the 2013 application, so it should have been as of, and that's what we're asking for a further approval by this technical variance request identified by the buildings.
Could it be it's a different paragraph number? Could it be a different, maybe that's it? Let me just go look back at the old decision. Maybe it was the reference is a different bylaw? Hold on.
I don't think it is.
This was approved, Mr. Chair, this was approved the former zoning that was in effect under the forms.
Okay, so it's a different, that's the reason why. The decision of approval was the height in the 17.7 pursuant to section 11.3.1 sub 1 bylaw 1-83, and now you have your variance under the new bylaw for height. So that's, I guess that's the answer. It's 6 years later, there's a different bylaw in effect.
Yes.
Now we needed the approval under the new bylaw. So it's a different measurement standard, perhaps, or under section bylaw 569/2013. So it does seem logical that it would be different. Okay, so is someone now ready for a motion?
I believe it meets the 4 tests and is desirable, and I would therefore like to move a motion to approve without conditions.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Kamarick. Second for that motion. Ms. Alderson, all in favor? Unanimous approval. Thank you, Mr. Mascioli.
Thank you very much, Chair, members of the committee. Have a good afternoon.
Thank you.
Thank you.